Hey guys, welcome back. It's Packlord21. I know it's been a long time since I last made a video. We moved to Montana and life got busy, so we were looking for jobs, getting into jobs, getting moved, everything moved into the house and all that crap, and switching credit cards and bank accounts and cell phones and all the rest. Made life very busy, and then I kind of lost interest in making YouTube videos there for a while, but I'm ready to get back into it. Hope you guys are too. And so I thought I should kick this off because obviously I'm on Linux. I don't know if I was the last time I was making videos or not. I'll have to go back and look at those to see, but this is what I'm currently using, and we're going to be going over the different distros in this video. And so I should show you this. So basically I did the test with four different distros and two different desktop environments, because it takes time to do these kinds of tests here. This actually took like a full day to do, so hope you guys appreciate this and get a good amount of use out of this. But these are my findings on using the different distros for gaming. As you can see, like if we start off with GNOME Pop, which is what I'm on right now, when I did this, which was a while ago, it was about a month or two ago that I actually did these tests. But Monster Hunter World, when I first did this on Pop, it wasn't working on Pop or Ubuntu. There was some problem with the Debian-based distros at that time that was preventing them from running those games. I'm pretty sure it was the kernel. So if I had been running a custom kernel like I am right now, which the custom kernel I'm running right now is called XanMod, if I had been doing that, I probably could have gotten Monster Hunter World and Code Vein to be working at those times, but I wasn't, so I couldn't get those to run. But they are running now, and I found out later also with League that I just needed to reinstall it because it was an older installation of League, and so I was able to get League working also. Plus they had an update for Bioshock that actually fixed it. I believe this was Bioshock 2 if I remember correctly. I'm not quite sure, but I know that when I looked up the Bioshock series just a little while ago, they had actually fixed that. Let me look that up here real quick. Let me see. Okay. Let's see, yeah. See, Bioshock Infinite, and Bioshock 2 are all working now. They fixed it. Before, what it was doing is it wasn't capturing, mouse inputs. So you couldn't click on anything in the menu to get loaded into your game or anything like that. So it wasn't capturing mouse inputs, which, obviously made it not playable. And so that got working. Code Vein is working now on Debian-based distros now, as well as on GNOME and Ubuntu. It's working, so I can confirm that those are working now. And Monster Hunter World is also working. So these are the results though at the time of when I recorded them. As you can see here, if we compare the average frame rates, Manjaro mostly gets higher average frame rates because it was able to actually play those two games, but these are over 15 different games. So if we look at Dishonored here in KDE, because KDE across the board did perform slightly better, regardless if we're talking about Solos or Ubuntu or Manjaro or GNOME. GNOME Pop, not GNOME Pop. Across the board, KDE did perform better. So when we look at, Star Conflict 125 is what we're seeing there, Warframe 345. So here you can see actually performs slightly better on Pop. Ruby is 280. I didn't really have an actual thing for measuring the frame rate on Ruby, so I kind of had to roughly guesstimate some of these, just by watching the frame rate fluctuate and guesstimating the average that I was getting. So they were still pretty accurate, though, I would say, because, I paid pretty close attention to what the frame rate was and was pretty good at logging it. And Path of Exile performs slightly worse on KDE pop. Life is Strange, 138 versus 140. These are all pretty darn close. Star Stable, which is the game that my wife played, that's why I was testing it, got slightly better on KDE pop. Witcher 3, slightly better on Manjaro. Guild Wars 2, 98. The real kicker, though, for all these tests was Ubuntu. As you can see here, this scored the worst out of the entire bunch. 93 on Guild Wars 2, 100 on The Witcher 3. It was not a good gaming distro at all. Which, really begs the question, why does Steam, why is this what Steam recommends? Because it does not perform the best. And plus, at the time, this was the distro that I was having, well, this and Pop were the two distros that I was having the most problems with. So, it was just a lose-lose situation, because on Ubuntu, you're generally running older kernel, you're running older graphics drivers, you're going to have certain games not work quite as well as they will on different, more up-to-date distros. Solus, I believe, is also rolling release. So, but yeah. I did also try Arch, but the problem with Arch was there was just so much stuff that was broken. Sometimes the start bar would stop working when I tried to shut down the computer, in fact. It would sometimes take like 3-5 minutes even, because it would wait for some of these programs to shut down for that long rather than just force closing the, background processes in order to shut down. And so that really sucked. I think it was some type of issue with OpenGL, I believe, from what I was able to kind of piece together from the applications that were having problems. Because like Unigine Heaven, I was literally getting about 1 frame per second, and there's no reason for that, because I have, I have a 1070. I should be getting something over 1 frame per second. And I also have a Ryzen 5 3600, so there was just no reason for that. And then, what else did I try that had significant frame rate issues? I believe most of the games ran okay, but there was just significant issues. Oh, also, in the App Store, or whatever you want to call it, because it's basically an App Store, the applications that were already installed wouldn't show up, so it didn't show any of the applications that were already installed upon the install of the operating system. The only applications that showed up were the ones that I installed after the operating system got installed. So the store was also broken. There was just so much stuff that was broken, and also Vulkan. I had a really hard time getting Vulkan running on that. There was just so much stuff that was broken. It was just a horrible user experience. Some of the games and stuff that relied specifically on OpenGL exclusively, were just running horribly. I think Star Conflict was actually the one game where I was also getting literally 1 to 2 FPS. And that was just like, no. So Arch for me was just a dead nope, because, there was just so many issues that I was having with it. That's why I didn't even bother including it. Ubuntu, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that it's slightly more stable than, a lot of the other rolling release distros. But, the main takeaway, because the only real reason that Solos scored higher here is because Monster Hunter World was actually working on it at the time, whereas here it wasn't. And Code Vein was actually working here. And the reason why I have this little thing is because when you load into Code Vein is still, like, to this day, one of the games that runs the worst out of all of these. Like, out of all of the games that I've tested, Code Vein is one of the games that runs the worst. When you initially load into a place, it will stutter a lot. And even after you've loaded in and, walked around a bit, it will still stutter a bit. And so it's really rough on Code Vein, and that's the thing with gaming on Linux is, it's not perfect, gaming, even gaming on Windows isn't perfect. You'll have Windows constantly trying to update, which oftentimes causes lots of issues. I've had lots of issues, at least, and I know my friend has, and lots of other people, at least from the Windows updates that I see online, lots of other people have problems with these updates, so I don't think I'm alone in that. So gaming on Windows oftentimes isn't all it's cracked up to be, and oftentimes my friend Jen Shadow, he'll have a game or two or three even at a single given time, at any given time, that aren't working due to a driver having issues with some aspect of Windows, or the game update having some issue with Windows, or a Windows issue or a Windows update that's causing an issue with that specific game. So, it's not like it's all roses on the Windows side either. But overall, I'd have to say, because I've been using Linux now for about I would say it's around 6 months now that I've been using Linux. And I would definitely have to say overall, I like it way better than using Windows. Like, as far as gaming, not quite as good, I would have to say, but just the general user interface I like a lot better. It's way more customizable. No issues with it, really. One story, though. I did have issues on Manjaro updating the graphics driver to the newest version. And when I tried one of the online solutions for it that somebody had, when I tried restarting my computer, I just got a black screen upon restart, and so, I couldn't really do anything when it just launches into a black screen. It's kind of impossible to recover from that. And so then I had to, make a new bootable USB, so I installed Pop, and, found out that, hey, Monster Hunter World, Code Vein, all these games are working now, so they fixed the issues that they were having on Ubuntu-based distros. And, I've been using Pop. It works great. And, it's probably just a fluke that I had with Manjaro, honestly. I bet most of the time the driver updates work flawlessly. It could just be an NVIDIA thing, because I know their drivers aren't exactly the greatest, but that's another thing, is installing Linux takes 1/4 the time that it does on Windows, because I don't know, at least I am kind of a paranoid type person about how many background processes are running, how many things are running in the background that are going to hog up my CPU resources and my RAM resources, slow my games, or just use more RAM, because using more RAM doesn't really slow games significantly at all. And so, I kind of obsess over background processes and such. And so, I have to, go through debloating Windows, installing Razor Cortex to shut down the different various background programs, install Advanced System Care Optimizer, or I think it's ACO. Yeah, Advanced System Care. To keep my computer, my operating system, hopefully running in good order, although that's kind of it depends on how Windows wants to cooperate, because their updates will oftentimes just completely defeat that, and Windows will decide to, put a virus into their own own updates. Basically, I mean, it does more harm than a virus. Generally, a virus won't just give you random blue screens, freezing, crashing. I mean, I've been able to remove viruses before, and it was far less malicious than what the Windows updates seem to do. So I don't know. I think Windows is really their own worst enemy at this point with their updates, because they just can't seem to get it together. Honestly, they can't seem to get their operating system together. They can't seem to keep it stable. People have been having files getting deleted. I've seen their new Edge browser, which is based on Chromium now, is also causing people issues from what I've seen. There was printer issues, Wi-Fi connection issues. There was an article that I saw where they were giving telemetry data to third parties, and their telemetry data, if you've ever looked into that, it can sometimes, according to Microsoft, sometimes include personal data. So they were giving telemetry data to third parties such as FireEye. I found out was one of them. It's like, if this is the stuff that Microsoft is letting people know, how much telemetry data and stuff are they collecting not out in the open? And so, I mean, it's just all of the issues with Microsoft is really why I've switched. And honestly, with how well the games are running on Linux, there's just not any real reason to keep using Windows. I mean, if we look on Proton Database again, here I'll show you guys, because this is something that is just really the nail in the coffin to me for why nobody should really be using Windows anymore. 25% of Steam's library is natively supported on Linux. And then you combine that with 62% at Silver, well, that's 87% that is above Silver. Okay? And if you look at, let me see, the rating definition, Silver runs with minor issues but is generally playable. And Bronze runs but crashes or often has issues from playing comfortably. So, if you were to include the Bronze games, which is questionable, we've got 91% of Steam's library that will at least run at a Bronze level. And if you want to include Silver, which I think is fair, then 87% of Steam's library will run with very, very few issues, in my own experience too. And so there's just not a compelling reason to use Windows when it has this many issues. But the general conclusion, though, I would have to say is, use anything except Ubuntu, because Ubuntu just has the worst performance out of everything. And besides Arch, at least, Ubuntu was actually where I encountered some of the most issues as well with gaming and such. Although, if you were going to use Ubuntu, I would definitely recommend using XanMod or something that will actually, something that you can actually keep it updating regularly. I know at least XanMod on my system has been updating regularly, and staying on the bleeding edge of that really helps with performance, and I haven't had any issues with that yet. And that's the thing with Pop, is it's kind of, even though it's rolling release, it's almost like it's semi-rolling release, because I don't know, so few people have really had issues with it. It just seems very, very stable. Out of all the rolling release distros, Pop seems to be the one that I see people having issues with the least. And, I only ever had one issue on Manjaro, which was the graphics driver update, and that was after like 3 months of use, 4 maybe even. So, I mean, yeah, it was, I was on Manjaro there for quite a long time before I ran into that issue. Another thing I run into online a lot is, people going, oh, well, I need, Windows, because a lot of my games won't run on Linux. And I'm like, are you sure? Because when you look through their library, I mean, it's got to be that 1 in 9 or 1 in 10 games, one of those 1 in 10 games that don't work on Linux. And I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, I'm not installing Windows ever again. I don't want to deal with their bullcrap anymore. I'm done. I'm just not going back. And so if a game doesn't work on Linux, I'm like, too bad. I'm not buying that game. I'm not playing that game. And that's part of the problem with Linux adoption, is that people seem to think that they need every single one of their games, every single game on their library to work before they switch. Well, the thing is game developers are going to continue the mindset that, well, we don't care about Linux support. Why would we care if there's only 3% of people using it? And that's the main problem with Linux adoption, is that people don't switch to Linux because, oh, well, some of the games don't work, and so then they don't switch. And because those people don't switch, there's less game support than there would be if they had switched. So the more people that switch, the more widely accepted and used it is, the more game developers are going to care about supporting it. So if people want Linux gaming to become a thing, if they're finally tired of Windows constantly bricking their system, it's just kind of the switch you gotta make. And then that 1 in 10 game, you just go bye-bye, because the game developer doesn't care about supporting Linux. I don't care about supporting that game developer then. If me being able to choose a better, more stable operating system is, not in their priority to support that, then, it's too bad for them. They've lost a customer on that game. But if they decide that, well, having this game actually work through Proton, that's actually important to us, so we're going to make sure that it actually works through Proton, which oftentimes it isn't hard, like, what is it, Skyforge, or, no, isn't it Skyforge? I believe it's Skyforge. Skyforge, it's just not capturing mouse movements. And it's like this, it's such a simple, it's such a small, simple thing to fix. I'm pretty darn sure, even though I'm not a programmer, I'm pretty sure, fixing one little aspect of the game, like capturing mouse movements, should not be rocket science and should not be drastically difficult to accomplish. A lot of these games, because we're at a point now to where nearly every game is supported on Linux now. So, for a game to not be supported on Linux, you can almost be guaranteed that once you look into it, it's something where the developers just literally do not care about Linux support. And so, if that's the attitude that they're going to take towards Linux support, then I'm just not going to, care for supporting their game by buying it, That's kind of the place that I've come to, and I kind of hope that's where other people come to too, where they're just like, I'm fed up with Windows, I've had it with their bullcrap, I'm moving over to Linux. Because the more people that do that, the greater the user base is going to be on Linux, and then the more that game developers are going to have to be like, oh crap, if we don't want to lose out on 30% of our audience here, we have to make sure that this is at least functioning through Proton. If we don't, make it natively, we've got to make sure that this is at least functioning somewhat well on Proton. And so I think the more and more people that make that jump, the better it's going to be. And, I honestly hope that that's something that people do, regardless if they have to, miss out on that 1 in 10 game that they have that doesn't work. So I hope this information is useful for you to choose a distro. I hope the video hasn't been too rambly. I tried to stay fairly on point, but there is a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover in this video. And I hope all of the you know, the day's worth of work that I did here collecting all of this information. I think this, yeah, I can get rid of that. I hope my, you know, all my time collecting all this information and everything is worth it to people. I hope that they, you know, this helps them to make a decision on what distro they want to use. You know, I would honestly just recommend, you know, use a rolling release distro. Don't use something like Ubuntu or, you know, something that's not, you know, rolling release for gaming, because drivers and such just, they're just not up to date enough, and your performance will suffer for it. So if this video was helpful to you, if you liked it, you know, if you found it useful, the best way you can support me right now is like the video, subscribe, and share it with your friends on Facebook, wherever, you know, share the video so that your friends can see it. That really helps me out a lot, you know, helps me, you know, show me that you guys are interested in these videos, that these are important for you guys, that, you know, I'm not just wasting my time making these videos, you know, because I don't mind, you know, I don't mind being on YouTube, not making any money for it, you know. It's not really why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because, you know, I enjoy making these videos for people, and you know, the more people that show that, you know, they like and appreciate the videos that I'm making, you know, the, you know, more motivated I'll be to, you know, keep making them and make them more often, you know, because I see that, you know, more people are enjoying them. So, you know, let me know that you guys enjoy it in the comments, you know, show me your support. That's the best way you can support me right now, is just show your support for the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.